Swing Trader weekly broadcast. I am Sami Abu Saad, Director of Education at T3 Live. We're going to be going over the market. I'm going to be going over my swing watches for tomorrow. But before we start, as always, a standard required disclaimer to let you know that trading is risky and that whatever we discuss in this video is for educational purposes only. If you'd like to download a copy of my free ebook, link for that is in the description below. Also, if you find benefit in today's video, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. And if you have any questions for us, reach out by emailing customer service, info@t3live.com. Again, info@t3live.com. Here we go. First, the market. We got a really bearish bar on Friday. And then the other thing is we're at support now. So if we could, if we bounce back up, no harm, no foul. If we linger around, this is the hourly chart of the Qs, if we stay at the support, it means that we're more likely to drop. And if we also follow through tomorrow, that would be bearish as well. So three scenarios. We snap right back up, then no harm, no foul. Okay, this was just a retest to the rising 20 on the, this would have been just a retest to the rising 20 on the daily chart. If we don't bounce back up and we stay at the lows, okay, or if we continue to the downside, then I think we're going to be lower the coming days and weeks. If we look at the weekly chart, the market had an admirable attempt to go back up, and then now it's, if we take out last week's low, that means we have we failed to make a new high, and that's the definition of an uptrend is higher highs, higher lows. So if we fail to make a new high, that means we're lower. Now, lower to where? Normally to the rising 20. So that doesn't leave us with much room to fall. So the market is difficult. It's not an easy, every week I come on and I tell you exactly what I think is going to happen, and normally I'm right. But this time it's not easy to be sure, or it's not easy to analyze. Again, I think we break under the weekly bars lower, but how much lower? Are we talking about just retesting the 20 on the weekly? Are we talking about retesting the prior pivot low? That's a pivot. Are we talking about eventually lower to the minor support at 320? I don't know. But first things first. The first step is to find out. We have to wait and find out. We'll find out by tomorrow. We should, whether this drop was for real or just a retest, and then we move back up. If we move back up, retesting support and support holding, that actually strengthens it, okay, makes it more valid. But retesting support and without generating a bounce, so we stay neutral tomorrow with a narrow range bar, or retesting support and then breaking support, that would be bearish as well. So, but then again, how much room do we have? That's that's hard to determine for sure. I would say probably to the prior lows, so to the prior weekly pivot low or the daily support, and then from there we'll have to reevaluate basically whether we're still lower to 320, the minor support on the weekly chart on the Qs, or not. So we'll have to evaluate as we go. All right. So that's my analysis of the market. I hope it's helpful. Again, it's not as easy as it usually is every week. Here are some of the watches for this week, but especially tomorrow. I posted the complete watch list in the video description, but these are the ones that I'm going to go over right now. So AFRM looks like it bottomed long term. Look at the month. This is the monthly. Let me just change the scaling real quick. So here it is. That's the monthly. It collapsed from 175 to like $10, not even $8, right? And then it looks like it's bottoming, base, and started to break out. The 20 MA hasn't yet on the monthly chart completely flattened out. That tells me, I don't think it's going to keep going. It goes probably and then comes back in, maybe bases a little bit. So I don't think it's too far gone, but I like the AFRM as a long-term idea. Okay, as a long-term idea. Another swing idea on it would be the weekly 1, 2, 3, which triggered already last week, but it's not too late. Stop right here under the previous week's low. Target, we're talking $40 or so on the AFRM. But I like it more, not so much as a swing, but more as a long-term idea. The CGNT is gapped up, nice gap last week, and then it pulled back deep pullback, but we also got a nice bottoming tail. So over 532 long, stop under 507. Okay, let's take a look at the CGNT weekly chart. That's pretty good. Let's take a look at the monthly chart. That's failing on the sell setup, so that means it's probably okay long term as well on the CGNT. Again, it would need to take out this bar's high, and then that would trigger the entry. Coinbase, I'm liking it. It's an open position in the newsletter already, but it hasn't gone anywhere. Nice weekly chart, beautiful weekly chart. Let's check the monthly. Not bad. It's also like the AFRM where it's bottoming. Now, of course, Coinbase price is going to depend a lot on Bitcoin. It's going to depend on whatever comes out of the regulations. Whatever comes out of that lawsuit between Grayscale and the SEC, whether they do decide to convert those OTC funds to ETFs or not. But Coinbase is looking good. There's also there's other crypto stocks, a bunch, but this is by far the nicest looking. There's MSTR, right? But Coinbase looks the best. The MRSN is trying to break out on the daily chart. So I like it higher over $1.50. Stop under $1.30. Let's take a look at the hourly chart. Yeah, stop is under 125. So over 150 by 125 on the MRSN. NCLH and the rest of the cruise lines are doing weekly buy setups, but the NCLH at the moment is the nicest looking. RCL is always been the strongest. Okay, here's the weekly on the RCL. I mean, that's a weekly pullback. That looks good. Over this bar's high, over 150 cents. But it's not quite ready. NCLH is ready because it has the daily 1, 2, 3. And I'm not saying it's going to work, but that looks the most ready out of the three, the CCL, the NCLH, and the RCL. So over 1750 by 16, that's 17 bucks actually. I was going to say 16.95. Okay, but 17 bucks. NCMI is already an open position, but looks good. Look at the weekly, look at the monthly. Oops, that's not the weekly. Here's the weekly. That's the weekly. Here's the monthly. So I'm liking it. I like it. Might need to base a little bit more, but the 20 already caught up and looks higher long term. A couple of the China stocks that look good, one would be the NTES. So NTS would need to take out 102.50. Okay, so it's not quite ready, but it looks good higher. Weekly buy setup also. Path is very much like the CGNT. It's a daily pullback after, in the case of the path, it didn't gap, it just popped. And it looks good long term. So over this bar's high, stop under it as a long. So NTS Chinese, the PDD is Chinese. PDD is going places. Look at the monthly on the PDD. That is a thing of beauty. Monthly buy setup. I called it, already got to target, which was $100, exactly 100. It got to 103, but it still looks good, and I like it as a replay over 150 cents. I think 60 cents. Stop would be right here off the hourly chart. Okay, so that's the PDD. Another China stock. I guess those are the only two that I like the most. PDD and the NTES. Relay is already an open position on the initial breakout, but it's looking good. It's not late either. So here's the weekly, here's the monthly. Looks nice. So I like it higher over 26.10. Let's just say stop under 24.25. So it's $1.50. It's not a very tight stop, but looks higher long term. REVG is a 1, 2, 3 on the daily chart. Not my favorite, but long over this bar's high, which is 15.05. Stop under 14.64 on the REVG. RIVN is pretty bullish, already an open position. I like to say that because I don't want to be talking about a position unless I mention that, if it's an open position, unless I mention it. It's a weekly 1, 2, 3. So a weekly buy setup, which I missed, but I got in on the weekly 1, 2, 3, and still looks higher. It does need to take out 24.62, and the stop can be under 23.68, or a wider stop would be under $23. Okay, target about 28, maybe even long term. So Rivian and Tesla looking good. I'm just worried about the market. That's the only thing I'm worried about. The SOFI is looking good too. Weekly buy setup, SOFI. Deep weekly pullback, but not bad, and it held up really well on Friday in the face of a total collapse in the market. So over 920 by 870 or so. Okay, now I'm estimating 870, you know, check the low, it's 877, so I would put it at 874 probably. You see what I mean? So I'm just trying to eyeball the chart and see what the price is. The TNGX is an hourly breakout. It looks like it broke out already on Friday, but I don't think it's too late. So I like it higher over 853. It didn't break out on Friday. Didn't take out that bar's high. Stop under 793. So over 853 by 793. And the wicks is a very sloppy daily chart, but check out that monthly. Look at the monthly. It's pretty good. Look at the sell setup here. Failure after a big drop. That usually means the stock is done selling off, and it's only a matter of time before it goes back up. You see what I mean? It could be ready, or it might take a while longer until, you know, it breaks out. But we do in the meantime have a daily pattern, which is a daily buy setup. So over $96 long, stop under 91.85. I'm usually willing to compromise on quality a little bit if I'm intending to hold the play long term, if I think it's a long term play. And the wicks is one of those. It's, I think, a long term play. Here's the shorts. This one is pretty thin, I guess. The IBEX. Okay, short under the base, stop above it. And target 1 would probably be the prior low. Target 2 to be determined. So new lows on the daily chart. But it looks good under the base, but it's very thin. LVS, wow, so weak. But it's also extended. So it may need a little bit of time before it's ready to go. 1, 2, 3 on the weekly chart of LVS. NSSC is a base breakdown, but I like base breakdowns when they form at the bottom. So, you know, let's say over here, and then a base breakdown. This is forming at the top of the range, so it's not as good, but it does look lower. I don't have a very good bearish list. I have a bunch of stocks that are short right now that look really good, but they're too late. Like ILMN would be one of my favorites because it's a monthly breakdown. Okay, I have two calls on that ILMN. So I did the initial call and then I did an add and reduce, right? Added more shares. So why is the ILMN not on the list even though it's like my favorite? Because it's too late already, right? The pattern happened back here. So right now I don't have the best list, but here's what I got. The OFIX short under 1280. Okay, stop over 1382. So it's actually exactly $1. Okay, hourly base breakdown after an igniting gap down on the daily chart. VNDA is a daily sell setup. I don't know what that volume means. You see how we supposedly had a spike in volume at the end of the day. Not sure what that means, but like it lower under 460. Stop over 485. Target 1 would be the prior low, which is 415. If it has enough R2R, then I would just consider this to be the all-out target, one target. ZI, I was in the ZI, and I don't know why it didn't follow through. I loved it when I did it here, a short under the base, because it was a weekly 1, 2, 3. And then I covered half, and then I don't know where the back half, I think over here, probably. But here's the initial play, weekly 1, 2, 3, short, right here. But it didn't follow through. It wouldn't follow through much. I still like it lower, but I'm also, I'm noticing, I see the flat 20, and I do remember that it wouldn't follow through much, so I'm going to wait a little bit on the ZI, but it's very, very weak. And the ZIM might be already late because it broke down on Friday. Looks lower. I mean, this thing looks like it's going to zero. Look at the ZIM weekly chart. All-time lows was $100 at the end of, in middle of last year. So here's the monthly. Looks really lower. All right, that is my list. I hope you make money from it. I hope you learn from it. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. And if you have any questions for customer service, email us info@t3live.com. If you want to check out what I do and the services that I offer, check out the links in the description. And if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to hit that like button. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care, everybody.